Because it is so difficult to obey. And why is it so difficult to learn to obey? Because one must first learn that it is everlastingly worth learning. All knowledge which is in a covenant with curiosity, with the love of learning, with natural abilities, with selfish passion. All the knowledge concerning which the natural man immediately understands that it is worth learning is also fundamentally and essentially easy to learn, and to this also belongs, first and last, apprehension. Thus men are willing enough, when it is proper, to learn by rote, but when it is necessary to learn by the aid of suffering, then it becomes so hard, since apprehension does not help. But on the other hand, no one is excluded, however much he may be lacking in apprehension. The humblest, the simplest, the most abandoned man, the one whom all teachers give up, him heaven has by no means given up. He can learn obedience fully, as well as any other man. This would be the first step, that you, my hearer, should imagine the humblest man. But now imagine that he of whom the Holy Scriptures say he learned obedience by the things which he suffered, that it was he who was with his Father from eternity, that it was he who came in the fullness of time, that it was he who completed what the Father had begun, he who completed the creation and transformed the shape of the world. And if there is anything said in the sacred writings of him as the humblest man, there is nothing said about who he was, about what he was, about what he could do, about what he accomplished, nothing about his work, which is higher than all human thought. There is said only, he learned obedience by the things which he suffered. Alas, he who knew all things, he whose thought embraces all, he who consequently needed to learn nothing, because what he does not know simply does not exist. Of him it is said, he learned obedience by the things which he suffered. Christ learned obedience, for certainly from eternity his will was in harmony with the Father's, his free resolution was the Father's will. But then when he came in the fullness of time, then he learned obedience from the things which he suffered, the things which he suffered when he came unto his own, and his own did not recognize him, when he went about in the humble form of a servant and sustained God's eternal plan, while his teaching seemed in vain, when he, the only one in whom there is salvation, seemed almost superfluous in the world, when he accomplished nothing, nothing at all, when no one noticed him, or, what was even harder to bear, when he was an object for the wretched dallying of curiosity. Oh, even when the evil arose against him in wild rebellion, and bore him, the Holy One, down to death. Is not this something to shudder at, when he who was the object of curiosity, when he, the Saviour of the world, could do nothing in the lost world, except merely collect the curious and the idle about him, so that the craftsman would leave his work to stare after him, and the merchant would run out of his shop, and even the hurried individual would cast a curious glance at him in passing. Vinegar could not have been a more bitter draught for the Holy One than was the thoughtless attention of idlers and the revolting sympathy of the curious when one is the truth. The presumption of sin toward the Holy One was not more bitter than being taken in vain by the curious. Aye, he learned obedience by the things which he suffered. The things which he suffered, when he, who possesses the blessing, was as if accursed to everyone who came near him, and to everyone who shunned him, a torment to his age, a source of worry to the few who loved him, because he must estrange them from him in the most terrible decisions, because to his mother he must become the sword which pierced her heart, to his disciples a crucified love, a torment to the vacillating, who perhaps at bottom, in the secret hiding place of the wish, apprehended the truth of his words, but dared not side with him, but who therefore also retained a sting in their souls, a division in their inmost selves, a painful sign of having been contemporaneous with him, a torment to wrongdoers, because he, through his purity and divinity, must make them reveal the thoughts of their hearts, make them more guilty than ever. Oh, grievous suffering, to have to be a stumbling block in order to be the Savior of the world.